Hello all, welcome to this session. In this session, I am going to answer one of the Java interview questions. That is, explain how to use list iterator interface for iterating through the array list elements in a backward manner. Instead of forward manner, we have to iterate through this array list elements in a backward manner with the help of list iterator interface. Okay. So let me explain that before I go to the practical demonstration. Let me explain. Once you create an object reference for array list, using that object reference, you can call a method, predefined method known as list iterator method. To that, you have to pass the size of the array list. Okay, how many elements are there in the array list? You have to pass to this list iterator method of the array list. And this list iterator will return you the return type as list iterator interface. Now this list iterator interface has some predefined methods like has previous and previous. Earlier, we have used some methods of the list iterator, that is has next and next, which will iterate forward. But in this case, we are going to use other methods of the list iterator, that is has previous in place of has next and previous in place of next. Okay. So these are few changes that we have to do to traverse or iterate backwards with the elements of the array list. Okay. Now to iterate backwards with the help of list iterator, we have to use has previous and previous methods of the list iterator. And also when you're calling this list iterator method of this array list, okay, you have to pass the size of the array list. When you want to iterate forward, you don't have to pass the size. But when you want to iterate backwards, then you have to pass the size of the array list here. Otherwise, it is not going to work. Okay. So this is one important thing, and you have to use other methods of the list iterator, that is has previous and previous, to iterate backwards with the elements of the array list. We are going to iterate backward through the elements of the array list, retrieve them and print them in the output console in this practical demonstration. To understand these statements in a better way, let's go to the practical demonstration where you will understand it in a clear way. So right click here, create a new class, randomly create a class, say class 26, let's say, with main method create, and inside the main method, create an object for the array list. Here like this, create an object for the array list. Array list, a list is equal to new array list. Okay, like this, create an object for the array list and say Control Shift O, it will be imported. This array list class will be imported from java.util package. Now specify the type of the objects you want to store into this array list. Let's say integer, I'll specify. Now add some element objects into this array list. A list dot add method and say 9. Then a list dot add method, then say 5. Then a list dot add method, let's say 7. Okay. Like this, I'll add some elements. Now I want to iterate through this array list elements in a reverse order, that is starting from 7 to 9. And in the same order, I would like to retrieve them and print in the output console. For that to happen, first I'll take this object reference of the array list and call a method known as list iterator method. List iterator method. Here you see there are two variations. If you want to iterate forward, you have to take the first one without passing any arguments here. If you want to iterate backwards, you have to take the second overloaded method, that is list iterator, with having some index. Here index is, we have to specify the size of the array list. What is the size of this array list? Here in place of 0, you write a list dot size method. This will get the size of the array list that you have to pass to the list iterator. You want to iterate through this elements in a backward manner. Okay. Now this list iterator method will return you an object reference of the list iterator interface, litr over the mouse, and say create local variable. Return type of this list iterator will come here, which is an interface. Now using this object reference, I'll use a while loop, and here I'll specify litr. Instead of saying has next, I'll use has previous case. Okay. First change is you have to specify the size here. Okay. So when you're iterating forward, this size is not required. When you are iterating backward, this size is required. Okay. The next thing is you have to use has previous method instead of has next if you are iterating backwards. And also inside this while loop, you have to write litr dot next method. Instead of next method, you have to write previous method. Okay. Sorry, I selected wrong one. Instead of next method, you write previous method here of this list iterator interface, and run the code and observe that all these elements will be iterated in a backward manner. Okay. So it will start from here as previous. Yes, there are 3 elements starting from bottom to up. Okay, so it will go inside list.previous will go to 7 and print it out. If you forget this one, if you forget to provide the size of the array list in this list iterator, this is not going to work. Then again has previous. There's 2 more elements from the down to up, that is 5 and 9. In that it will take previous means it will take 5 and print it out, and any more elements. So 9 is there, 9 will be printed. After that, has any other elements? After 9, no other elements. Starting from bottom to up, it will iterate and retrieve and print in the output console. You see, 759 will be printed. Instead of 957, you see 759 got printed. This is how we can iterate through an array list elements in a backward manner with the help of the predefined methods of the list iterator, that is has previous and previous. Okay, and also in the list iterator method of the array list, we have to pass the size of the array list in case of iterating backwards. In case of iterating forward, you don't have to specify the size. Okay. So with practical demonstration, I answered this question for you. So that's all for this session. Thank you. Bye-bye.